Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
You're listening to The Man That Can Project with Lachlan Stuart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to The Man That Can Project.
All right, welcome back to the Man That Can Project podcast, and we've got an exciting episode for you today. One of you incredible lads reached out, and I actually haven't asked if I can mention names, so I won't mention names, but in the future, for those listening who, if you do ask me to do topics, that's awesome, and I will mention your name because I do appreciate all of you that take the time to reach out and ask questions. But today's topic was, or the question was around visualization. And this particular person had never really heard much about visualization or didn't really understand it. And I said, was there anything specifically about visualization that you'd like to learn about? And he said, well, everything really. I haven't been too exposed to it. So I've got my iPad out here for those who are watching this on YouTube. And for those of you who are tuning in on the podcast, just listen to my voice. But before we do, there is something very exciting. So I'm still looking to make a decision around whether the Foundations Workshop continues in October. At this stage, I'm leaning towards it may not be, just due to the uncertainty around what the regulations will be and all of those sorts of things. So with that in mind, I've pivoted and I'm ready for the next stage. So it's today, the Monday the 7th of September. I'm aiming for this Friday, so that'll take it to maybe the 12th of September to be launching the Man That Can Project's Inner Circle. Now, it's something that I want to make available to 200 men, and it's going to be the most affordable, offering. But hands down, I'm going to make sure it is value-packed and jam-packed, which I'm not going to give it all away here, so stay tuned on Instagram or check your emails, or even get ready to see if you're in the Man That Can Project's Facebook group. Get in the Man That Can Project Facebook group now to stay up to date with it, because it's going to start from as little as $13 a week. So if you want to be able to work with me and see how I think, what I implement, what I do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, and this is going to be it. It's going to be obviously the Inner Circle community, and it's going to be pumping. So I'd say if you're not in the Man That Can Project's Facebook group, get in there now so that you can stay up to date, because once these 200 spots are full, she's full, mate. So get in there. Anyway, enough about that little self-promotion piece. Let's dive into visualization. So my experience with visualization has been incredible, and much before I knew that it was called visualization and I understood the benefits and that you could actually implement it in all aspects of your life to start creating more from your life, I was introduced to it when I was around 10 years old, and it went by the name of Brain Gym. Now, I was fortunate enough when I sort of linked this together, I was like, wow, I can actually see, I've experienced real life benefits from visualization. And it's interesting, it probably took me, I'd say 2 months of having been in the position of practicing visualization before I linked it back to having used it when I was a kid and, being of the understanding that it was called Brain Gym, right? So when I was younger, I was an athlete, and mum used to get my brother and I to practice brain gym, right? She really wanted us to have more control over our mind, which was cool. And I never really linked it together, but when I was growing up and I was competitively running, I was a state champion for the 400 meters and 800 meters, and I placed second. I went to a few national titles. One thing I always used to do the night before, the morning of, was visualize in my head the race. And there was lots of exercises that mum used to get me to do, or recommended I do, to build that mental muscle and to build that focus and to be able to create the outcome. And it's interesting that every way, I had a pure tactic, and I was able to visualize it so clearly of how I would run the race, that every race was pretty much ran that way. And it blows my mind that I never really linked it to that, but it's pretty powerful what your mind can create, because confidence and courage, what comes first. And I think the fact that if you can create the environment and how you think the experience is going to go down before it actually happens, you can generally go into it more confident, which is pretty fucking powerful, because for a lot of us, we get held back by the fact that we might have the courage, or where we feel we aren't confident enough. So if we can mentally prep or build up to something that might have a significant impact on your quality of life, then it might be worthwhile visualizing, right? It might be worthwhile putting some time into creating it to go, or creating it to be how you'd like it to be. And once again, you can't just sit there and visualize things and make them happen. You've got to implement things, you've got to action it. But there can be a physiological response, I believe, in the body by practicing it. And I didn't bring my brain tap out here, but I'll talk about the brain tap shortly and just how it's a pretty cool tool that I use at the moment. But it allowed me to create that, and that's sort of from that early years when I was introduced to it. Funnily enough, I went away from it, right? When I finished school, I stopped doing those things, and even for footy, I never really visualized too much for what I wanted to create for my life, or the success that I wanted to have. I just sort of stopped doing that sort of things. And it's funny how my life really had no direction, or I didn't have any certainty or clarity or direction. And it was only when I started reading and sort of getting into the self-development space that meditation started popping up, visualization started popping up. And I'm very fortunate, I think, and I would say I'm very grateful that I'm very open-minded. I don't sort of brush things off. I'm always open to understanding, and if it's, I wouldn't even say safe, because I've done a lot of dumb shit, but I would say I'm always open to giving things a go and creating my own, I guess, opinion around it, rather than I feel a lot of people listen to people too much. And don't get me wrong, I had not so much around visualization, but more so around meditation. I had an idea of what it was and who it was for, and I think that held me back from giving it a real crack much before I did. But I'm also grateful that I believe wholeheartedly I'm in the position I'm in because I was open to trying shit. Like, if someone told me visualization could help my performance, I was like, well, I'll do it. And I know full well when I saw people who had the results that I wanted and they told me things that they were doing, I would generally start listening to them and start implementing it. That's why reading's such a big thing for me, because you hear the leaders or readers, or every successful person, and success to me across the board, whatever that is, reads a lot, right? And I've also heard they prioritize sleep, right? They prioritize health, and they prioritize hydration, right? And a lot of them meditate, and a lot of them have a lot of time where they journal and just think. And to me, that just is like, well, that seems quite unproductive. But after listening to podcasts and going to events and all these things, it was just constantly validated time after time. They're like, yep, meditate, visualization, get good sleep, eat well, exercise. All these things were just going doom, 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 doom. And like everything, you start creating patterns, right? Like with our emotions, where you can reflect on things and you can start to understand, your habits and the behaviors that you have and the patterns that you have. You can start to have a little bit more control over it, right? Which is ultimately what we can do with the visualization. So I decided to bring it back. And I guess when I started bringing it back, I was like, well, I want to use it to create the direction for my life. I started thinking about what I wanted for my life. And it was generally vague. And I think that this was around the time where I was doing my 10-year vision. I started writing out, what I wanted to look like. And I started Googling images and working on visualizing these things. And, at the start, it was fucking hard. It still is. Like, if I'm trying to visualize something new, it's hard. And it doesn't just pop up in my head. But it's then about, for me, understanding the journey to get there. It's not just focusing on the house that I want or how I want to look or the conversations that I want to have. It's like, well, what happens in the lead up to that? How do I walk? How do I talk? What's my morning routine? What are my processes? Because often that's what, helps you set intention for things. You actually start going, okay, well, for what purpose do I want to learn to visualize that? Is there any intention behind it? Is it going to add value? If it's not, well, then maybe you've just made yourself a little bit, create a little bit more free time in your life because you don't realize you don't have to do that shit. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the things. But ultimately I started doing that, and I think about how I want to show up as a person. If I'm going to do a presentation, how I want to be perceived, what I want to talk about, what are the key points, when people are going to clap, when I'm going to swear, all these things that I start rehearsing so that if I ever get put in a situation that I feel uncomfortable in, or if I lose that certainty, and I can go, I've been here before, or I've been in something similar. I know how to navigate this. I know what to do next. And I believe, that's what's been one of my secret weapons. And it's not even secret because I talk about it all the time, but it is something that I spend a lot of time implementing that I believe a lot of people neglect. Is like, start creating how you want your life to go. And as you start visualizing it, you create a physiological response in your body, right? If you close your eyes and think of something that makes you sad or angry or unhappy or excited, like, your body starts to react if you really think about it. Right? Your body fucking adapts to what you choose to feel and create. So visualization is a fucking game changer, right? Even to this day, like, when I set my goals, I think about it. When I do my morning meditation and I have my day planned out, I think about how I want the day to go, how I want the interactions to go, what it could be looking like, what my training sessions are going to look like, all of these things. So it's pretty powerful. So here would be my steps to start learning, guys. If you're, at the stage where you don't feel you can slow your mind down, and I've been there, but you've probably, for those who haven't listened to my podcast a few episodes ago where I said I can't slow my mind down, go back and listen to that episode. I can't remember, it's maybe 3 or 4 earlier than this. So maybe episode 230 or something like that. But, it's a skill to be learned. Just like learning to create your vision or how you want your days to go or what you want your life to look like or how you want your goals to go down. And it's a tool, right, that I believe people who want more from life will implement or probably already are. Or if you aren't and you're in the position where you're sitting there going, I do want more from my life, it's probably something you should start looking into. And I would start just by, one, writing it out. Because if you can read it back to yourself, then you can start creating the image, right? Write out what you would like, what's your dream house look like, or what's your dream relationship, or how do you want to be perceived in the world? Right? If you were to speak on stage or at a TED talk and give a story on your life, what would that look and sound like? How would you be, or what would you be wearing up there? How engaged would the audience be? What would your posture be like? I start thinking about these things and creating it, right? Because it may sound weird, and I don't know what you're sitting there shaking your head going, fuck, Lockie's lost it, or if you're going, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Give it a crack. Give it a crack for 30 days. Actually, fuck it. Give it a crack for 90 days and see what happens, right? If you struggle with it, and this is what I recommend, just like for those who struggle with meditation like I did, I got an app, right? I use Calm currently. I used to use Oak. I've used Headspace, but I just use what I feel like I want to use at any point in time. I really enjoy Calm because of the variety, and I enjoy Calm for meditation, because it gives me, tracks my streaks, and I'm competitive, so therefore, I don't want to let myself down, which is now given me a greater understanding of the power of consistency with meditation. But one thing I also use use with visualization is a device called Brain Tap, and it's something I was introduced to by Darren Bain, the owner of Function Well Gym, which I work out of. It's this cool device, and like I'm not going to sit here and try and go into the ins and outs of it because I just use it. But if you want to check out Brain Tap, it's on Instagram, or Dr. Patrick Porter. But it's essentially guided visualizations. Right? I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. So if for those of you who actually want to go through a guided, I guess, hypnotherapy, or I essentially think hypnotherapy and visualization are the same thing. If you want to go through that, make sure you join the Facebook group, the Man That Can Project Facebook group, because I'm going to start doing more visualizations in that group so that you can experience what it feels like, and then obviously you can go off and do your own research and find out ways to get more into that. Conor McGregor's massive into visualization. I'm sure a lot of other athletes are as well. But when you look at so while I was telling you about Brain Tap, essentially you put this device on, or if you don't buy the device, I bought the device because I like the tech stuff. But you can essentially just put your headphones in and choose. They got a fucking range of things you can learn about to improve your quality of life financially, with your health, with your career, like anything you think of that you want to improve. I guarantee you there's a guided visualization for that. Now, why I recommend it and why I use it still, and I don't use it all the time, but there's times where mentally I'm tired or I don't know where to start, that it's just easier for me to put that on. Like obviously the recent podcast on burnout, right? I got to the point where I was really worried that maybe I had chronic fatigue or something like that. And one thing I was like, well, fuck, worst case scenario, I'm going to start visualizing good health. So I didn't want to, I guess, put in the work. I was pretty tired, so I was like, I'm just going to put my headset on and focus on good health and choose that one. And I did that for a few nights, and lo and behold, I was back buzzing. And I'm not saying it's because of that, but I'm saying it definitely was a big factor, and that's sort of how I implement that device, or how I would implement visualization. So if an aspect of your life is not where you want it to be, start visualizing it. And if you need help with that, jump on Google or talk to people or look at images and use those as like, I guess, stencils to create what it is that you're looking for. There's so many fucking benefits of visualization that I personally believe in. I had them all up here, but my computer crashed, so let's see if we can get it back here. I was just ordering 4 books off Amazon and the computer crashed. So let me tell you. She's still frozen. Oh, there we go. Right, bear with me, guys, because I want to give you some of these benefits, because I think it's when you think about visualization, obviously benefits, it's important to tie it back in. But I think give it a go for yourself, and once you give it a go for yourself, you can start, I guess, experiencing what benefits are there for you, because there's obviously a lot of things that happen within the body. But even if it just clears your mind or creates more confidence for you, or gives you a bit more clarity and certainty, that to me is such a benefit, right? On how to get more from what you want, and get yourself in the right state, I guess, to achieve those goals. Because if you think about state, right? State is a state of emotion, and you think about, okay, in order for me to be successful, what kind of state would I need to be in? I think for me, I'd have to be certain, I'd have to be confident, I'd have to be strong, right? There are a few things that I'd have to be. So when I think about that, how would I need to project my voice? How would I need to walk? How would I need to dress? How would I need to behave? Right? And you start visualizing that, and then obviously, it's almost like those deja vu moments. You're like, fuck, I've been there. I've been here before. I know what it feels like. I know what happens next. I know how to act next. I know how to respond. Right? And it's such a cool thing. So if you want to learn more about that, guys, jump in the group and ask questions, get engaged, and just say, hey, I listened to the podcast on visualization. I'd love to be taken through a guided visualization, and I'll tee one up for the groups one night, for the lads one night, and for those who want to jump on, you can jump on and get amongst it. But I'm only going to do it if you guys post it in the group. I'm not going to just put it up there for you, because once again, one of the things of being a part of the Man That Can Project community is taking ownership. If you want something, ask for it. So I've just got up here quickly before we finish up Headspace, right? Headspace is one of the apps I said I used. Visualization meditation. So this is what they've written about it. At one point or another, everyone has recited some version of a quote, life's a journey, not a destination, in their mind. In today's always on the go society, their mindset can get lost along the way. That mindset can get lost along the way. Many of us get tangled in webs of stress and anxiety, loss of focus, and sleepless nights. While becoming more in tune with our bodies and minds is no easy feat, meditation can help, and techniques such as visualization can help us achieve the health and wellness benefits that we're seeking. So, you have those health and wellness benefits, but you also have the lifestyle benefits if you start, practicing it enough to get more from what you want from your life. But gents, that's enough from me, and I appreciate you tuning in. And I thank James I mentioned his name, James, for asking the question, or asking around the topic of visualization. I hope that's helpful, and I'm sharing my experience there and how it's helped me and why I choose to use it and why I recommend that people who want more from their life use it, because it's a super powerful thing. So guys, as well, like I said, if you're getting value from these, please share it. And if you've got a little bit more time, click on it and leave a review, because the more reviews you leave, it puts this up in the chart and allows more men like you who need this to hear, and they can get some value from it. So thank you for taking the time to tune in, and I'll chat to you guys shortly and see you guys in the Facebook group. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.